Count Dooku, one of the coolest characters in Star Wars, and a deck I really wanted to build with set 3, but it wasn't quite there. However, Jump to Lightspeed has actually now made this Count Dooku deck pretty good and definitely a lot of fun to play. This deck looks to harness the exploit mechanic to play out these big space units early to put absurd damage onto the opposition's base before they even know what's hit them. It's actually kind of crazy what cards you can play out turn 2 because of Dooku's ability. For example, you can play out this 6/6 space unit turn 2, and you can do it pretty consistently. But before we jump into the deck and how we play out these big units early, if you enjoy StarWarsUnlimited content, then make sure to like and subscribe, because I'm constantly posting out new deck videos and there's gameplay videos coming soon, and I don't want you guys to miss out. With that being said, let's crack on to this deck. Starting things off with this deck is the leader and Count Dooku himself. So he's got an action, you can play a Separatist card from your hand and give it Exploit 1. This ability allows us to play out these big units that haven't got Exploit early. For example, I've already showed you we can play out that big ship turn 2, but this ability allows us to play things like our patrolling A80 turn 2 as well. A common mistake I've seen with people running Dooku is that they try and use this exploit and pair it with other exploit. So if a card has Exploit 1, they try and activate this with it to give it Exploit 2, which is okay and all, but it means you're losing all your field to play out one card, and once it goes down you're kind of lost. But through us having only this Exploit 1, plus us bringing out a lot of droids early, we've pretty much always got the utility to keep exploiting all these cards out while still having multiple cards on the field. But I'm going to be honest, most of this leader's power comes from this ability. Like, he is quite strong when he deploys, don't get me wrong, but this is where this deck's power lies. Talking of Dooku deploying, he deploys on 7, so he's quite late for a leader. Has 5 attack, 9 health, so normally sticks around a lot more than you think. Overwhelm, so excess damage when he's attacking a unit goes to the base. And on attack, the next Separatist card you play this phase gains Exploit 3. I think that's come up maybe twice, maybe 3 times ever for me playing this deck. He's mainly in here just kind of finish off games. Suddenly deploying out a unit that can attack straight away for 5 attack is kind of nice. To get the most out of Dooku and the new support for him, we want to run yellow. I'm going for a 30 health base for the sheer reason of we're a more mid to slightly late game deck. So because of that, we want to survive the early game to then dominate later on. That's our base and the leader done. Let's crack on to this deck. Starting things off for this deck is the 2 costing ground units, and we want to run 3 B1 security team. So it's 3 attack, 1 health with Sentinel, just a nice little Sentinel to play. The main reason this is in this deck is because, well, we look to partner it up with the Invisible Hand. The Invisible Hand basically allows you to play 2 costing droid units for free when it's played and when it completes an attack. So being able to just suddenly spawn out a Sentinel out of nowhere is really good. And, well, at the end of the day, only paying 2 for a 3 attack Sentinel is kind of nice, even if it is really squishy with that 1 health. Moving on to our next 2 costing ground unit is 3 Separatist Commando. Gonna be honest, I really like this card. So it's a 2 attack, 3 health, which reads, while you control another Separatist unit, this gains Raid 2. So 99% of the time, you're paying 2 for a 4 attacking unit. And also it only costs 2, and it's a droid, so you can actually play it for free with the Invisible Hand. So suddenly surprising down a 4 attack is really nice. I'm not going to lie, I do have a soft spot for this card. I think the Commando droids are so cool, and this card is no exception. Look how good it is, and it really is quite a strong card. It actually surprised me how much utility I got out of this when I was playtesting the deck. Moving on to our 3 costing ground units, we've got 3 Phase 3 Dark Troopers. So it's 3 attack, 3 health with Sentinel, and when combat damage is dealt to this unit, if it survives, give an experience token to it. I know what you're thinking, it's not a Separatist, why are we playing it? So the reason we're doing this, because we have a lot of space units, sometimes we can get a little bit overrun on the ground. So suddenly dropping out a Sentinel is quite nice. However, the reason I quite like this in here is because you can actually search it. That's because the Invisible Hand lets us search for droid cards and add it. If it costs 2 or less, play it for free. Don't cost 2 or less, but you can add a Sentinel to hand. So if you know you're going to need one coming up, you can get it. But the main reason is in here is, well, when you're playing those aggression decks, or maybe they're getting a bit overwhelming in ground, playing this out, slowing them up is really good for us. Moving on to our next 3 costing ground unit is a card I absolutely love, and that's 3 Droid Commandos. So it's a 4-3 stat line that reads, while you control another Separatist unit, which you're probably going to do, this unit gains ambush. So ambushing for 4 damage for 3 resources is so good. I use this most of the time just to trade into like their 4 or 5 cost units and just defeat them. Or the amount of times I've had the initiative and I've had a Separatist unit down, I've paid 3, played this out, ambushed into their turn 1, defeating it, and then having 2 units ready for the next turn, or to exploit them. Moving on to our 4 costing ground units, we've got 3 Infiltrating Demolishers. So it's a 4-5 stat line with exploit 1, so of course you can boost it to get exploit 2, which you don't really ever have to with this deck, and it has got Saboteur, which is kind of nice. Even though it costs 4, this is one of those cards you can play out on your turn 2. You can even play this out in your turn 1 sometimes. If you play Kajimi Patrollers that comes out of a TIE Fighter, you can then activate Count Dooku, giving this exploit 2, defeating both of them, and boom, a 4-5 card in your first turn. I won't advise that most of the time, because if they then pop this off the board, you're in trouble. However, against some decks, and in particular aggression decks, having that turn 1 is kind of nice. Moving on to our 5 costing ground units, and actually our final ground unit, because we've run a lot of space in this deck. Now it's 3 patrolling A80s. So it's a 4-5 stat line with Sentinel. However, this is one of those cards that Count Dooku makes so good, because you can give this exploit 1, meaning you can play a 4-5 Sentinel in your second turn. Playing this turn 2 against some decks is so strong. Like against some aggression decks, it just shuts them down for a few turns. And well, we want to get to the 6-7 resources, that's when our Dooku and all other big ships arrive. I really like this card, and typically if I get it in my hand turn 1, I keep it just so I can exploit it turn 2. That's actually it for our ground units, because well, we run a lot of ships in this deck, but all of these are really important and play a really important role for this deck. Let's move on to our space units. King things off our space units is 3 Kajimi Patrollers. So it's a 1-1 stat line that reads, when played, create a TIE Fighter token. So you play it out, comes with a partner. This card is really important for this deck, because having that additional unit is so important. Why? Because the main issue of exploit decks is that you get rid of everything for just 1 unit. So if they play like a Power the Dark Side, everything's gone. Your units from turn 1 and your high cost and exploit card. This card allows us to exploit the token away, bring out a big unit, and still have another unit here. So if they play something like Power the Dark Side, we can get rid of this small unit and keep our big one. For that reason, this is one of the best cards for us to get turn 1. And like I said, if you really want to and you know they can't out your big unit, you can just exploit both of them with Count Dooku to maybe play out your Saboteur. That's a 4 cost for free. Talking of important turn 1 plays, is our next 2 costs with his 2 Confederate Couriers. This card is a 2 attack 1 health that reads, when defeated, create a battle droid token. Similar to why Kajimi Patrollers is so good, the reason I really like this card is, well, if you played out your turn 1, in your second turn you can tag it doing 2 damage, whatever, you can then exploit it away, play out your big unit, and well, there's a battle droid with it. So like I said with Kajimi Patrollers, if they play out Power the Dark Side, you can just get rid of your token, keeping your big unit. This and Kajimi Patrollers is so crucial for this deck, and for your turn 1 play, it's really important. Moving on to our 3 costing space units, we've got 2 Elite P-38 Starfighters. So it is a Separatist unit, so you can exploit it early. It's got 3 attack, 2 health that reads, when played or when defeated, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. The reason it's in here is because that when played and when defeated, pinging that 1 damage can be really important, really nice for us. And well, with Dooku, you can actually only pay 1 to bring it out, but it's alright for this deck. 99% of the time, I don't exploit it, it's just my free cost. Boom, here you go. Okay, now we're going to hit the main power of this deck. That is in our 5 costing space units. We're going to start things off with 2 Geonosis Patrol Fighter. So this card already has exploit 2 built in it, and it's got 3 attack, 2 health that reads, when played, you may return a non-leader unit that costs 3 less to its owner's hand. So if you played out your Kajimi Patroller, you can just exploit the token away, play this out, bounce their turn 1 play to their hand. It's just a nice bit of early disruption. The reason we want to run 2 of these and not 3 is because there's a lot better cards you want to get out, but timing this at the right moment is basically a free waylay, and it's so good. And like I said, against the aggro decks, this card is crucial. Moving on to our next space unit is 3 Techno Union Transports. So this card is 4 attack, 6 health with shielded. So a 4/6 space unit with shield. How good is that? The reason it's so good is because with Dooku, it is a Separatist, meaning we can exploit this out turn 2. You can have a 4/6 shielded turn 2. This card in this deck is an absolute powerhouse. People don't realise how good this is. That is because having a shielded 4/6 that early in the game is just not fair. They can't defeat it unless they have a bit of removal, and not just that, even if they pop the shield off, it's still got 6 health to get through. One thing I found with playing things like this out early or patrolling A80 through exploiting it is that because they're so good early game, the opposition ends up putting a lot of things in to try and defeat it, either a bit of removal or putting a lot of units into it, and because of that it actually frees up room for our bigger and better units, so we don't have to fear of them being hit with that removal. Talking of those bigger and better units is a 6 costing unit, however in this deck it's a 5 costing, and I'll tell you why. That's because it's free Invincibles. So this card's 6 cost for 6/6, well it's 6 cost, but it's not really, because it reads, if you control a unique Separatist card, this card costs 1 less to play. Count Dooku's a Separatist. Oh, and he's unique. Oh, and we control him, meaning this card will always be a 5 cost. Do you want to know why that 5 cost is so important? Because it means with Dooku, we can play this card out turn 2. Yes, we can have a 6 attack space unit turn 2. It's also got another ability that reads, when you deploy a leader, you may return a non-leader unit that costs 3 less to its owner's hand. Very rarely comes up. It's mainly in here because you want to play out turn 2. Honestly, I've played this out turn 2 so often, and it just puts in so much work, because by the time you take it down, it's only got 2 attacks into base, sometimes 3, so that's 12 damage. And normally they then take it down, and then you just exploit out another one for 3 resources. It's crazy good. Want to know why else this is so good? Because this is normally around on your 5 resource turn, and we do run Overwhelm Barrage in this deck. So then put an Overwhelm Barrage onto this, giving it 8 damage to just nuke the field. Oh, so good. Moving on to our next 6 costing space unit is free, the Invisible Hand. So this card is 6 cost, another 6 attack, 6 health. That reads, when played and when this unit completes an attack and survives, you may search the top 8 cards of your deck for a droid unit, reveal it and draw it. If it costs 2 less, you may play it for free. Put the others at the bottom of your deck in a random order. So more often than not, this is what we use to bring out our Sentinel B1 security squad, or maybe our Commando with the Raid 2. You may be thinking, why are you not running any Vulture droids if you're running this? That's because I did try it and I just found the Vulture droids, they were okay. Like once out of every 5 games they'd end up swarming and do really, really well. I just found this deck so much better and have so much more power because, well, you rely on this too much in the swarming Vulture droid build of the deck. Well, that being said, you can play this down on your 4 resources because of Count Dooku, so playing this down and just playing units out for free is still really good. Because we have 6 droids that cost 2 or less, more often than not, you will hit one of them to play out, and if you don't, you normally hit like your phase 3 trooper, you can just add to your hand, meaning you've got a Sentinel for the phase after. But because we can play this card out so early, and because it normally sticks around for a couple of attacks, and the when played, you end up normally getting at least 3 searches from your deck, and more often than not, at least 2 of those searches, you're playing something out for free. And rounding up our space units is an 8 cost, and it's another Invisible Hand. So there's an 8 cost, but again, you can exploit it with Dooku, meaning it comes out on 6. It's a 4 attack, 7 health that reads, when played, create 4 battle droid tokens. On attack, exhaust any number of friendly Separatist unit, deal 1 damage to the defender player's base for each unit exhausted this way. There's 2 main things you can do with this card. One of them, you attack the base for 4, but activate the on attack, exhausting all 4 battle droids, doing another 4 to base, meaning it's 8 damage to base. Or you can play it out early with Dooku to get this 4 battle droids to exploit even bigger units out. I don't always play this card, but it's really important to have. For example, I was playing a deck that had a lot of Sentinels on the ground, and I had the 4 battle droids, my deployed Dooku, and a phase 3 Dark Trooper. I attacked their base with this for 4, exhausting all of them, doing an extra 6 damage to win me the game. 10 damage off 1 attack. If you pay 8 for this card, it's bang average, you know, not great. However, it can be alright. But if you bring this out on 6 early with Dooku, it actually is quite a bit of a threat, especially because that 7 health, it just doesn't go down. That's our space units done. Let's move on to the events and upgrades. Starting things off with the events and upgrades is 2 droid deployments. This card reads, create 2 battle droid tokens. As simple as that. The reason this card is so important is, well, like the other ones were, for having 2 units out turn 1, it means we can exploit one of them, play a big unit, and if they play a powder dark side, we can remove a token. The reason we don't run 3 though is because through having 2 of these, the 3 CardGame patrollers, the Confederate courier, it was just too many like droid generation. So it meant like the mid to late game, I ended up just playing out more droids, which is great, but they weren't really doing anything and they're just playing big units. But I found the sweet spot with 2 of these plus 3 of the others. Moving on to our next 2 cost event upgrade is 2 No Good To Me Deads. I absolutely adore this card. So it reads, exhaust a unit, that unit can't ready this round. The reason this is so important, because Dooku comes out late and a lot of our units tend to come out late unless we exploit them. Things like our Sabines that come out early or the Quinlans can do a lot of damage. So just saying to this, okay, well, you can't use that card for 2 turns. And by that time, I'm going to have all my big ships out. Like, yeah, it's so important. And well, if you played against this card before, you know how annoying it is when your unit's been exhausted for 2 turns. Moving on to our 3 cost events and upgrades, we've got 2 Waylays. This card reads, return a non-leader unit to its owner's hand. Just a really nice bit of disruption. Yeah, again, if they play out something a bit big, or maybe an annoying sentinel, or they use all their resources on 1 card and then pass, you just go, okay, Waylay, put it back to your hand, now you've got nothing to play. I just think Waylay every set is just getting so strong. Just that bounce is so good. Okay, moving on to our 5 costing events and upgrades, we've got 3 Overwhelming Barrages. It's a green villainy deck. I had to play it in here. It's like one of the best cards in the game. You don't need me to talk about it loads. But what does it do? Give a friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase, then deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of other units. And because while we're exploiting these big units out early, this card plus that just nukes everything they play. Honestly, the amount of times I've gone invincible, played that out, then done Overwhelm Barrage like a turn 2 after for that 8 damage and just nuked everything. Oh, like the opposition can really struggle to come back from that. Especially then because the Invincible ends up hitting 8 to base. It's just such a good card, you really don't need me talking about it. If you're not running it in Green Villainy, what are you doing? Just run it. And rounding up the main deck is a 6 cost, and that is 2 Change of Hearts. Before I say what this does, oh my word is this card good than this deck. That's because this card reads, take control of a non-leader unit. At the start of the regroup phase, its owner takes control of it. So more often than not, you're going to take something that they have, attack with it, brilliant. You may be thinking, yeah, that's nice, but why is it so good? It's because you can exploit it with Dooku. So it's a 6 cost resource turn, right? They play out a nice unit. You can go, oh, change of heart, I'll take that, thank you. And then they just end up passing because that was all they had. You can then activate Dooku's ability to exploit that to pay out a 2 cost unit for free, defeating their high costing unit. It's nuts! And well, not just that, you can use it to take something big on their side of the field and win the game with it, but more often than not, I'm stealing something and exploiting it. That's our main deck done. Let's crack on to this side deck. Starting things off, the side deck is a 4 cost, and that is 2 Rogue Class Starfighter. So this is a 4 free stat line space unit with Sentinel, but more importantly, it's got that Separatist tag. And the reason it's in here is if you play those decks that are going space heavy and are trying to match you in space, suddenly exploiting out this for 2 cost is so good for us. Playing this out means normally they have at least 1 attack to waste on this before they can get to our invisible hand or invincible, and by that time they've got another attack in, played a unit for free, or just done insane damage. Our next card is actually a 0 cost, and that is free Salvage. This card reads, play a vehicle unit from your discard pile, then deal 1 damage to it. This card is really important, especially against control matchups. That's because in your control matchups, they'll be doing a lot of removal, meaning a lot of our big space units end up in the discard pile. This card extends our deck to that discard pile. So maybe it's late game, you've got no invisible hands left, you've got no invincibles left. Playing this, bring it back from discard pile can really surprise them. The next card in our side deck is a 1 cost, that is free, Confiscates. This card simply reads defeat and upgrade. For the amount of power it has for the low cost, I just think it needs to be in everyone's side deck. It's so important against the piloting decks, and not just that, if they're playing out like bounties, shields, frozen carbonites, just paying 1 to get rid of that is so good. And rounding up our side deck is a 5 cost, and that is 2 Commandeers. I absolutely love this card in this deck. So what does it do? Take control of a non-leader vehicle unit that costs 6 or less without a pilot on it. If you do, ready it. At the start of the regroup phase, return that unit to its owner's hand. But similar to Change of Heart, you're going to take something, ready it, attack into their base, but then you're going to exploit it away, meaning they don't even get it back. The reason we run Change of Heart over this card though is because Change of Heart can hit anything, while this can only hit vehicles. So this doesn't come up in every matchup. However, if you're playing a deck that runs a lot of vehicles, this card is insane. Especially with Change of Heart, you just take everything. So that's our side deck and main deck done. Here's the deck list for those who want it. For final thoughts on matchups, well, it's just a really fun deck. If you just want to finally use Dooku and exploit things away, this is the deck for you. Please be aware though, it's just very much an off-meta deck and a fun deck, but don't let that stop you thinking it's bad, because it definitely can beat decks. Once you get the right cards and play out all these big units, my word does it hit hard. However, it is quite fragile and you can be stopped quite easily, especially with a lot of removal, or well, because we are a bit slower of a deck, people can do a lot of damage quite quickly. However, if you're playing out your Sentinels, your big space units early, you can beat anyone on your day. It's just not as consistent as well with the meta decks. However, it is a lot of fun. I absolutely love playing this deck. Let me know in the comments what you think about this deck, any changes you may make, and if you tried it out, how'd it go for you? Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this and want to see more StarWars Unlimited content, and hopefully I shall see you in the next one.